I have this obsession with quality logos. Actually, I have an obsession with all logos. I love spending my days just analyzing logo after logo after logo after logo. It has been an obsession that's going on probably for about 10 years now. Quite a while. Ever since university and doing my marketing degree, I just got into design and I got into how logos look, and it's just really fascinating to me to see what kind of stories could be created out of a logo, because a lot can be told from a logo. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes. At least a good quality logo, right? There's a story behind a good quality logo. Even a crappy logo has an interesting story, but I find that people maybe don't have a good story if it's not a very good logo. I find that it's probably hastily put together, very little thought put into it. A crappy logo typically doesn't have much to it. And it's likely purchased from some online designer overseas, and it's done within a day, and then that's their story. And there's probably a lot of those stories out there. Actually, there are quite a few stories out there of people that just sort of hastily put the logos together. When I was in corporate, I got into designing logos, and actually I rebranded several companies, and sometimes the process could take months. It's just fascinating. Especially when you've got a bunch of executives working on one logo, it could take quite a long time, even though the job should take less than maybe a few days of actual design work. The amount of research that goes into the logo, how you want the company to be portrayed, everything. There's a lot to it. And you can get really obsessed with the details. But the best logos in the world have been simply designed. Yes, simply designed. Not hastily designed, but simply designed. Because you would think that maybe like a green square would take very little time at all to put together. But that green square, somebody had to figure out how it would look on buildings, how it would look on a number of different media, how it would look on different devices. Yeah, a logo that's been simply designed can have a lot of power, even if it's just a simple green square, like H&R Block, just a green square. Well, it's related to money, it's related to accounting, there's the coloring to it. It actually is a well thought out design. And some would say that's silly, but actually someone who understands branding would say that's brilliant, it's on point, and it'll be memorable for years and years and years. Because that green square comes to mind, and I bring that up. Why did I bring that up right now? I mean, I wasn't pre-planning any sort of thought behind it. Well, that was the logo that came to mind, some sort of green square. Maybe money is on my mind, I don't know. But why did that one come up in my mind? I have no idea. But all I can say is it was so simply designed that of all the logos that get thrown my way in the course of a day, the ones that stand out are the ones that are not noisy. Maybe it's one color. Maybe it's one identifying element. Like this green. The green in H&R Block is for some reason standing out to me right now. Like the light green. And I don't know why. Or the fact that it's just a simple shape, a square. And that square can be shrunken down into a very small surface area so that it can work on a number of different devices. I mean, there's just so much you could do with it. It becomes iconic in a sense, and that's what they've done with it. American Airlines is another one that I liked back in the day. Now that they are, I believe, American, I think they've consolidated into just one company called American. I don't know what it is now. But it used to be American Airlines, and it was like two A's, very simply designed in Helvetica font. I'm obsessed with Helvetica as well. That's a font that I'm obsessed with. But just a very simple design. Flat, bold colors, and this was designed many, many years ago. And it's like they're already ahead of the game. And I think even to this day, a simple design is the way to go. Another thing is people will go into handwritten logos. Yeah. And that can be powerful as long as it's done right and done simply. Actually, my logo, if anyone's watching this on desktop, you can maybe see my logo in the bottom right. You'll see my handwritten logo there. Or you can go to any number of my books and you'll see a handwritten logo. You can go to any number, well, you can go to my webpage, you can go to my YouTube channel, you can go to a bunch of different places to find my handwritten logo, which is just Trev. And you would think, well, that must have taken very little time at all. It took very little time to write it. Well, of course, I needed to make sure the pixels were right, so even writing it out took some time. And I needed to make the T a certain way so that it looked like it was progressing upward. I needed the V to look like perhaps a check mark, but also someone hitting rock bottom and then getting out of it. Yeah, a little bit of thought that goes into it. There's an identifying element there. But also wanting to make it look a little bit quirky, because I am kind of quirky. If anyone finds my Instagram page, which I have secretly hidden on my website, I'm like testing out a new Instagram. Even though I've done a video on why I don't like Instagram, I do understand the brandability of it and the power of perhaps creating a story out of it. Do I think that it's good for selling things? I don't know. I think your brand has to go beyond that. And this is what I'm talking about, the brand here. Because I think it's really important. Anyone that has a YouTube channel should have some sort of iconic element that they replicate across the board, across all the different media, and that it stands out somewhere. But when I hand wrote my logo, which I did myself, I was very particular about having it so that it could work on a small device, so that I could cut it down to a very small essential. And 4 letters, the T, R, E, and the V. And then the V, that rock bottom, that's some sort of emotion, right? Someone who's watching this, or someone who's landed on my channel, they could be struggling in a particular area of their life. And that V perhaps stands out to them, right? It's powerful. There's some sort of emotional element that over time somebody could get. And also I could see the logo sitting there and just living with me for the next 30 years, right? I don't see myself ever changing it. What's the point? I feel like it's as good as it could possibly be. I don't see myself ever changing it. And why am I saying all of this? Well, you're creating a logo for yourself, and is it as polished as it could possibly be to the point where you will never change it, ever? Because you'll have no need. It gives you everything. It is the essence of what you do or who you are. Yeah. And that kind of emotion is so important. Because you can look at a number of different logos out there. I would say Apple is a fantastically designed logo because it's simple and it's all in all the right places, right? You walk into your local Best Buy And at least back a couple of years ago, they had it all right. Like, they had it done properly. But you would walk into a Best Buy, and this is done by intention, by design. The first thing you would notice is a brightly lit Apple logo in the distance. You would notice that. Out of anything else in the entire store, that brightly lit Apple logo, so simple, yet so clearly displayed, would pop out at you. And that's what you would remember walking into a Best Buy. You wouldn't remember anything else but that particular shining logo. Didn't matter whether you liked Apple or not, that was always in your mind. Now, I'm not sure if it's still happening that way because Steve Jobs isn't around, so I'm sure people aren't looking at that attention to detail. But you could tell that it was that attention to detail that would make the difference. I'm obsessed with looking at logos because I can tell quite quickly whether a company's doing well or not based on perhaps the way their logo looks. The way they're progressing in life is perhaps how their logo looks, like a business, because it's that kind of element that stands out. It's that kind of element that is a true portrayal of a company and the kind of emotion they want to give off. Funny enough, I'm wearing one of my favorite brands, which is this Nike t-shirt here. And I love wearing Nike because I always want to be this athlete, and I have this dream of being somebody who's in good shape, so I seem to wear Nike. There's something about it. I like the check mark. This swoosh has this story to it. This swoosh has meaning to it. There's a lot behind the scenes. There's some history behind the swoosh, and that it was designed by someone that was maybe struggling. A struggling designer had designed this check mark and got very little money for it, but got shares in Nike, and now those shares are worth millions. So it kind of worked out in the end for her. But there's interesting, this simply designed logo and how it's evolved over time. But it's about victory, and there's something about this. It's got some speed to it. It almost looks like a shoe as well. You could say it looks like a shoe. You know, there's a lot to it. There's some meaning behind it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just so obsessed with logos, but then I'm in marketing, so I guess I'm supposed to be obsessed. Yeah, I'm supposed to be obsessed with these things. But it truly does etch in one's mind, because think about how many different elements of advertising pop up throughout a day. And the question is what stands out to you? What kind of emotion does the logo give off? And that emotion is the brand. A logo is the element, but it's a critical element. Yeah, it's the face. It's the face of the brand. It's what people will see first. On automobiles, it's a critical element. It is a very critical element. People understand the BMW. They understand the four rings that would be Audi. They understand the Mercedes icon. There's something about it. It shouts out. And it's all very powerful stuff. It's very powerful stuff, because if you stick with it for years and years and years, then it can give off a kind of emotion. Of course, you have to stick with it, and you have to stick to the emotion you're trying to portray. And then that way the logo gets stronger and stronger and more powerful in the eyes of the consumer. And how many people actually spend time on their logo? Maybe a lot of people don't, but they should. They should, because it does stick. It sticks around. Versus always changing. I mean, sure, start off with something simple. I started off with Helvetica and typing out my name. And then I'm thinking, I need to fine-tune this to make it a little bit more me, a little bit more unique to myself without getting too crazy. And then I did. And honestly, I didn't use any special powerful software. But maybe down the road I might polish it a little bit more, but I don't see it changing too much. I think it might get a little bit more polished, but I believe that the essence will stay true to what it is. So maybe you have a YouTube channel, a website, some sort of brand account. It might be a good idea to figure out what it is you're trying to create. Yeah, it might be a good idea to figure out what sort of essence you're trying to give off. Because that's going to lure people in. It's going to get people sticking with you. People come to my YouTube channel, it looks professionally laid out. And even if I'm recording in 720p or what have you, or I'm not 100% acoustically sound, that's okay. Because I give off the aura of professionalism. And when I speak, I think there's a level of confidence that I'm trying to get to where people are attracted to that. And that there are some shortcomings that I can't control at the moment, but the things I can control on the surface help lure people in. And if they can start resonating with what I'm saying and they get the connection, then the brand is a little bit more powerful. Because I'm trying to give away a bunch of free content here and getting people thinking about how they can self-confidently navigate the world. And it's funny, like how a logo can actually make somebody wait a little bit longer, stick with you just a little bit longer. Yeah, just that extra little push. That can help. That can be the difference maker in a conversion, a sale. It can be a tremendous difference maker. So what kind of elements or icons can you maybe tweak? And you could literally do it yourself. You can have a circle and call that your logo. That's fine. As long as it's connected to you, as long as it is deep inside of you, right? When I look at my logo, I get that rock bottom feel, or humble beginnings, and the desire to enjoy myself. There's something to it. Yeah, there is that emotion. And then maybe down the road, if you can get it so that there's so much behind that logo that you almost cry, yeah, then you've got something. Then you got something real powerful. Because people are literally crying over some of the logos out there. Because it resonates with them. People are tattooing logos on their bodies. I'm sure the Nike checkmark would be one. Apple logo, I'm telling you, tons of people will have tattooed Apple logos on them because it means something. Yeah. So don't underestimate the logo and how powerful it can be. Spend some time, do some research, look at the powerful logos of the world and see how you can design a logo that could potentially stand the test of time for years and years to come. Because that is something to be proud of. Don't spend little time, spend lots of time on the research. I'm telling you, it does have a tremendous impact. The branding, everything. It's so powerful. So definitely take some time on that. I'm definitely obsessed about this. I am obsessed. And I'm not like a designer, right? I'm self-taught, so I'm not professionally attuned to all of this, but I spend so much time analyzing this that I do know some things, but I know that some designers out there can probably understand it a little bit more than me, because I can't say I'm that into graphic design, but I can handle it. But some of the things are like, can you shrink the logo down to a very small size and still get the essence of it? Can you do that? That's an important element. Are you using fonts and logos and are you using fonts in the logo? And how many different font styles are you using? Because really it should just be one. It cuts down on the clutter. How many colors are you using? If you're using lots of colors, be prepared to justify why. Are you trying to be fun? Are you trying to be outgoing, engaging? Is that your MO? Okay, fine. Let people know that. But if you can cut it down to one color, black and white or something, ideally it should work on black and white, right? And if you're like me, well, it's white or red. Because, well, I like red. It's my favorite color. So I'll have that on my website. But of course, on my books, I'll have different colors, depending on the cover of the page. See, I can change the colors, because maybe I want to have a little bit of a fun edge to it there. But at the end of the day, the essence is still there. It's still Trev. So figure out how you want to do it. But you need to have a system, like a brand identification system, so that it's replicable across the board. It's all very important. That consistency, that has so much power. Yeah, it has so much power, because the more you get your logo out there, people will identify with it, and they want to feel excited. They want to feel really excited. I mean, I could go on and on about logo design, but anyone who's into this kind of stuff, even if you're a freelancer, having some sort of logo to identify you, have it on your invoices, have it wherever you can. I think it's important. Take some time. Make sure that it works on a variety of media. You got smartphones, you got Apple Watches, or smartwatches, what have you. You have all these different devices, and it's only going to get more and more in depth on how devices are used. How your logo looks is really important. So take that time and make it work for you. That's all I can say to that. I feel like I've gone on and on about this. I have an obsession with logos. I'm not going to hide that. I have obsessions about a number of things, but I will look at a logo on a small business and I will pick away at it. Because it's an important element. It's the thing that says hello, right? You go through all these buildings and all these logos are saying hello at you. You walk through a shopping mall. What's standing out to you? Well, that logo is saying hello. For brick and mortar, a logo is critical. It is critical for success. Yeah, it's very much an important piece. And then your online store, the logo is critical there as well. If you have an apparel brand, the logo is crucial. It needs to have some sort of element of emotion so that people can feel connected to it. Because you want people to wear your logo, okay, you better have something powerful to explain. Yeah. It's just interesting. How many logos do we see in a day? We probably see hundreds of logos in a day. And what stands out? What gets etched in your mind? Hopefully the logo you create is something that maybe sticks with others, because that's important. Okay, that's it. I'll wrap this up. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. Toodles.